Hi, I'm Mawunyo Gbogbo, and this is my memoir, Hip Hop and Hymns. I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. Chapter 5, Lily of the Valley. Teachers teach, and so too the layperson. On Sundays, I'd sit in the middle of our 8-seater Toyota Tarago on the way to church, while the other 3 were squashed in the back. We were now back at the local Presbyterian church, where there was a new young family pastoring the flock. While the Baptist church was all about modern worship songs, the Presbyterian church continued to rock out to hymns, like Mine Eyes Have Seen the Glory of the Coming of the Lord, Immortal, Invisible, and Great is Thy Faithfulness. I was once again in my element. It wasn't one of those hand-raising, demonstrative, dynamic churches, but I found a lot of comfort in familiar hymns. Their melodies enveloped me in that old-school charm, while the lyrics told the story of a forgiving and merciful Lord. Crown him with many crowns, the Lamb upon his throne. Hark how the heavenly anthem drowns all music but its own. Awake my soul and sing of him who died for thee, and hail him as thy matchless King through all eternity. Mum and I argued every now and then, and I was doubly cranky with her one Sunday morning after she disciplined me for putting a Sweet Valley High book on top of one of her many Bibles. Nothing should sit on top of the Bible, she scolded, making a point to pick up one of Jessica and Elizabeth Wakefield's adventures and toss it aside so that the holy word could take pride of place on the table. When we got to Sunday school, our teacher put a question to us. Now, I want you to write down on a piece of paper who you think is the kindest person you know or have heard of. Well, there was no question in my mind that that person was my mother. Mum was the kindest person in the world as far as I was concerned. She was selfless, someone who never bought anything new for herself, certainly not the latest fashions, and she always looks after others first. But I was fuming at her for tossing my Sweet Valley High novel aside. I heard my name being called. Who did you choose and why? Mother Teresa, I said. She's always helped those in need. The teacher went around the room until it was my brother's turn to answer the question. Who did you pick, said she. Mum, he said. She's the kindest person I know. She's always been there for us and would do anything to help us out. Wow, you must have a very special mum. Damn it, I thought. Why hadn't I swallowed my pride and said mum too? Imagine how special our Sunday school teacher would have thought our mum was if both of us had given that answer. It was on the tip of my tongue, but no. I went for Mother Teresa, a woman I had never met, would never meet, and knew very little about. Nobody else had named their mother as the kindest person they knew. My mother is strong, gentle but tough, a true steward of God who set an example of faith unmatched by anybody I've ever come across, and that includes Mother Teresa. But like every human being, she's complex, and one of her favourite pastimes was highlighting my father's flaws and pointing out how she could have done so much better. You know, I could have ended up with a really nice man, someone who was a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. There were plenty of men who really wanted me, but I ended up with your father. But all things work for good for those who love God. No weapon formed against me will prosper. Still, I regret being so shy that I didn't talk to these other men. I could have lived a good life. I could have been happy. But then you wouldn't have me. Do you realise that? You wouldn't have me, Saduji, Sophia, or John if you hadn't ended up with Dad. I would have had you with someone else. I really don't think it works that way, Mum, I said, pulling the fridge door open and looking inside to see the exact same contents that were there half an hour earlier. This is Hip Hop and Hymns by me, Mawunyo Gbogbo, It's available in all good bookstores as an ebook and an audiobook.